Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast, This Week in America. Great to have you with us on the program. Website, thisweekinamerica.us. World War II interrupted Anneros Valensi's childhood. Born in East Germany in 1938, she was just 6 years old when the war and its fallout struck her and her family. In Where is Home, her book, she shares the story of how she survived the miseries of war and a narrative she told from the perspective of a 6-year-old child. The memoir shares the realities of what life was like during that time and what needed to be done to stay alive. And Anneros Valensi joins us on This Week in America. Welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us on the show today.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
I am doing fine, and I really enjoyed having a chance to read your memoir, Where is Home? A chilling account of what you went through as a young child. Let's go back to East Germany and your time leading up to 1944 when the world really changed for you. What was life like that back in East Germany before 1944?
Well, before 1944, I was a little kid. In 44, our life changed because we were sent away for 3 months to be safe because the Russians and the Poles, they threatened our neighborhood.
Yeah, the book is called Where is Home? And it's interesting how the whole book came about. A few years ago, you're in a writing workshop and you're sort of challenged to come up with a tradition, a memory. And this started bringing back all these memories. And what's really amazing is how vivid that memory is for you as a 6-year-old. I mean, you recall this like it was yesterday, don't you?
It still feels like yesterday because it was just an observation, like a little reel in my mind, and it recorded everything, and then I play it back. That's how it still is to this day.
And you feel the book is so well written. It's called Where's Home? The book is available all across the country. Where is Home is the title. You can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and click on directly and get information on the book. We feel like we're there with you. And let's talk about that period. You're displaced World War II, your return, and Russian occupancy at the time. This really was difficult. I mentioned in the beginning, I said misery. It was much more than that. It was very difficult even to find shelter and food at that time.
Well, the Russians now, they were in our homeland, and we had no food. They ran everything. People had to work in the fields. They had heavy work. My mother was so run down. She had to do she couldn't work in the fields, so she had to do the laundry for the Russians. And what she got, working a whole day, heavy load, no washing machines, for one egg the whole day.
And that's amazing, and it's in the book, Where is Home? The author is our guest on the program, Anneros Valensi. The book is available all across the country. We got a website you can link on directly by going to that website. This really shaped who you are today, didn't it? There is a copy of the book as you're watching on YouTube. This really shaped who you are today. I mean, even at that time, you wanted to be free. You were wondering what life was like in other parts of the world. This really molded who you are today, isn't it? And the fact that I mentioned in the beginning that you lived in England and then you came to the United States, worked as a flight attendant for a number of years. You really wanted to have that freedom from a very early age.
Well, I was so scared and so intimidated. I wanted to feel free, wanted to learn about the world, wanted to see what it looks like. It was a very strange push for me. I needed to go away. I needed to see and find out. It's amazing as shy I was as a little child. And I think it was all sending me into the world and making me experience it. I couldn't stop it.
When you're 6 years old, you talk about in the book, Where is Home, where you look outside and you see people walking by, and your mother was trying to prevent you from seeing these people. And these were basically evacuees that you were watching, and you even sheltered some for a period of time, not knowing at some point in the future you were going to be part of that movement.
Well, it didn't take too long that we were involved too, and overnight we received the command to next morning, 6 a.m, in freezing cold weather, to gather at the town square and to send us away just for safety reasons. And from then on, life was a total misery. We were pushed around and shipped around Yugoslavia and anywhere they could take us, away from the Russians and Poles. And walking, the train tracks were bombed, so there was no transportation. People in hordes, they had to walk. We had to sleep outside, just cover ourselves with whatever we had and find no food unless the Red Cross was around and gave us something. It's so hard to imagine when I come to think about it now.
Well, and I have such respect for your mother and her devotion to keeping the 5 children together. How difficult was it for her to not only survive, but to keep the entire family intact during this period?
I have no idea. She just to give her last breath to us. When there was some little food, even a piece of bread or something, she gave it to us first before she took a bite. And I don't know how she did it. It's totally amazing. And I lived in constant fear, hoping the Russians or the Poles, they don't take her away. They took a lot of women away. And it was just follow her, follow her, follow her, and never knowing where you're going to be, where you're going to end up, and looking for safety. And it's really hard to explain because it's something, if you haven't experienced any hardship, you have no idea what it's like.
Well, you experienced so many hardships. Let's talk about the mayor of the small town where you were living and got everybody together and explained how you used a gas mask. Did you fully understand the concept of war and maybe having to survive by using a gas mask? I mean, you're 6 years old and you're being taught how to put on a gas mask.
This was this most horrible thing because I didn't know what it was for, and the air was supposed hopefully not to be poisoned. And if you put one on, I've ever tried, you can't breathe. It's like a rushing, strange sound. And you think you suffocate. And it was the scariest thing.
The book is called Where is Home? The book is available all across the country. You can get information on the book by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. The author, Anneros Valensi, our guest on the program. You would think almost the only time you could escape is when you sleep. And you talk in the book, Where is Home? That sleep time was scary for you because you would lay there and listen to the bombers flying overhead. Talk about that, because that's that time where you sort of like maybe can get away from all of this and it's quiet and you're laying there and all you can wonder about is what's happening in the world out there. You've got bombers flying overhead.
Well, they were high flying. I didn't know that there were bombers, only the lights, the red lights and green lights. And my mother would say, these are the bombers. And we called them Christmas tree, in the formation of a Christmas tree. They flew in a triangle shape,
Yes.
Humming and humming. It's very loud. And my mother took us outside to show us and hopefully, be safe, because if you're in a house and they dump these bombs on you, you're more in danger than being outside.
And you wonder what is happening with your dad as well. Explain his role, because he's drafted by the Army during this whole period.
Yes, we didn't know where he was, because nobody knew where anybody was, first of all, while we were still at home. And once all the Eastern community, we were all evacuated or actually thrown out of our country. When they were found, nobody knew where the family was. There was no home to go to. So the Red Cross had to try to, sort of unite the families again. And that was a hard thing, if you don't know where to go. We didn't know where he was, how he could find us, and he didn't know where we were. There was no more home. So it was no computers like we have nowadays. It was very, very tragic for all the men,
Yeah, all you had was the fear you were trying to live with, and you're thinking the worst is again, you're at home and you're hearing the bombers overhead. And it's interesting because you couldn't really have lights on. Your mother would warn you that if the home is illuminated and they can see you, they could bomb our house. I mean, you're sleeping in a potential target. How did you understand the scope of the danger at the time?
All I know is fear. I didn't know exactly what, why, but fear. And so mother, she had to put blankets in front of the window and just a candle, not even a light one, just candle. It was spooky, and how shall I explain it? Just fear. I lived in constant fear. I wake up in the middle of the night, not being able to breathe. I thought, somebody strangles me. I could not breathe. And I said, I'm shocked.
Well, then you go to school and you feel good about going to school. You feel important you're in school. Talk about when the German soldiers come in and they basically push all the kids to the back of the class. And it's even intimidating to talk about it. I can only imagine how scary that was if you're 6 years old and this is happening. They really stormed into your classroom, didn't they?
Right, because in September 44, I started first grade. And one day the soldiers, they came, and for me, they were frightening. Black boots. All I remember is high black boots and a rifle hanging on their shoulder and their stern faces and their heads half over their eyes. And they pushed us all against the wall in the classroom. And they talked, I don't even recall what they said. The only thing I remember, we all had to practice right now, Heil Hitler, with the right arm up. Hitler's order, and that was the scariest thing. First of all, the soldiers, the look of their faces, and all that was to me scary, and I didn't even want to go out. We were still at home, but I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to go anywhere, do anything. I was so scared.
Do you see similarities when you watch the news and pick up the newspaper now and you see the evacuees, the refugees going from country to country, and we see so many pictures, I think we almost get desensitized. But I've looked at it in a different way now after reading your story, because these are men, women, and children that really don't know where they're going to get the next meal, where they're going to spend the next night, when a soldier, ISIS soldier, may come in and start shooting people in front of them. Do you see similarities and have a real understanding, a better understanding than most of us do, as to what they're going through?
Absolutely, and I don't think the children know what's going on, or the mothers, the women. The men were actually, I think, in war. So it's hard to explain. You just try to hide. You walk and hide. You're trying to find something to drink, to eat, or whatever, and always looking up in the sky, looking here. But this is not with the ISIS, even worse. They have knives, and they can attack people just like that. So forever you're looking for a place to hide. That's constantly on your mind.
You're listening to This Week in America. Our guest on the program is Anneros Valensi. Her book is called Where is Home? The book is available Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can get information by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Anneros's website is annerosv.com. That's ANNEROSV as in Victor.com. That's the website. Great information there on Anneros, her background. You can order the book there as well. The book, as I say, is available all across the country. Time going by way too quickly on the program. I want to talk about that decision you made in 1961. You moved to London to learn English. You eventually end up applying for and getting a job with TWA and moving to the United States. You described this as sort of like a butterfly. You were really ready to break free at that time, weren't you?
Well, right after high school, my mother, she put me into nurses training, and that's when I started to live. I was 18. I finally became a person. I became me, and I feel like a cocoon coming out of as a butterfly,
yes,
emerging from the cocoon. And I wanted to be me. I didn't want to have any past, nothing. I just wanted to be accepted, to be a person like me, and try to catch up with life. And this was the most amazing feeling in my life.
Yeah, you went to England, as I mentioned. In London, you meet a couple there, an American couple. You work on your English there. You come to the U.S. You go to the World's Fair here. You decide you would like to live here. What was that like, coming to the United States for the first time? We tend to forget when we hear people that want to come to the United States what it's like to come and have this total freedom, totally opposite of what you went through as a child. What were your thoughts as you came to the U.S. for the first time and realized, I would really like to live here?
It was very strange, very different. I felt like I was on another planet. The cars were huge. They had the wings in the back. The women wore bobby socks and the Bermuda shorts. Oh my God! I thought, how can people be so free? The German was much more restricted. We wore this stuff only at gym in school. and people were curlers in their hair. It was like so strange, you know. It was Germany was also more regimented, so I felt this is amazing. It's amazing and so big, and the skyscrapers. I stood there staring at everything. I was totally taken aback.
And then getting a job with TWA, what was that like? Because you not only got to see the United States, I'm sure you got to see a lot of the world. Here's where you just get on this little tube and you go 30,000 feet in the air and you go someplace different and you get there in a matter of a couple of hours. What was that experience like from not knowing where you were going to live and being in this confined area to like basically the world is my playground at this point?
I loved being with TWA. I loved doing the air hostess job. People were nice on the plane. They wanted some comfort if they needed to, and we were so happy to give it to them. Our uniform looked elegant. We always felt dressed up, very feminine, no pants, just skirts and heels. But in the service, in the plane, we wear flats because it's more safe
Yes.
in case there's a little rocking and moving and the turbulence. So you have to be steady on your feet and comfort the passengers. You can't just wobble in heels.
Well, yeah, and if you think back, and for the younger people, it's like flying used to be like this experience. You would actually even get dressed up for that rather than dressed down now. I mean, you get on a flight now, and if somebody has a sweatsuit on, that's considered probably dressing up for the flight. It was a whole different era, wasn't it? Because people took it seriously, and they were dressed up.
Well, the American women, they would dress up. They liked that. This was elegant. And I appreciated that because for them it was special. They would go to Europe, and some even wore hats, like pillbox hats, not big floppy ones. And they wore a suit or dress and skirt. You didn't see many people wearing pants who came on the plane. It was nice. It was very, very elegant.
A few minutes left in the program. We're talking about the new book, Where is Home? The memoir of Anneros Valensi. The book is available all across the country. It's an excellent read. It's a book of courage, of hope, of survival. I'm reading some of the reviews, and people are really moved by what you're saying, and I think put what we have here in this country in a little better perspective, what's going on around the world in a little better perspective. What kind of feedback are you getting from people who know your story and read the book?
Well, they point out the courage I had, and I didn't think about having courage. I just was driven by wanting to see, to do, experience, and live free. And I was just driven. And they point out, that it was courageous and the dangers we lived through. And it's really amazing how people interpret it, which is true. Come to think, I was courageous. Now I don't know if I would be able to do it all the same way again. I was little then and young, and a young woman wanting to storm the world.
Well, and you were able to do that. And I'm sensing as we're talking that because of that background, there's probably not a day that goes by that you're not appreciative of what you see. You live in New York City. You see the freedom that comes with that. You sort of celebrate it every day, I get the impression.
Absolutely. It's good to be living here, and New York is great and big and has so much to offer. But I like other parts of the country too. It just the feeling is different. It's not stifling. It's not how shall I say? I don't know how to say it. It's just great.
What was it like? A couple of minutes left here, and I want to ask you this because I mentioned that in 2008 you take the writing class and you start writing, and all of a sudden you've got enough for a manuscript. What was that like? What impact has that had on you, going back and reliving these moments, which are very vivid in your imagination? What's it been like emotionally for you to go through this?
Well, I had no plan in publicizing it. I was very careful my stories. So what really made it is the first homework assignment that was about something we remember and really vivid memory. And mine was the last Christmas back in Germany in 1944, which was the most memorable ones I ever had. So I wrote down, tiptoed into that field, wrote my story, and our coach and teacher, she said, "Oh, this is wow, this is different." She says, "I want to know more." And I was like, oh my God, I can't go there. I can't go about and describing the war activities. I was scared. And so I was very careful when I wrote the stories, But slowly but surely, the other students wanted to know more, and I became more how shall I say, daring. And bit by bit, I wrote some stories, and eventually, she persuaded me to put it in a book. To persuaded me to share it, and still not really planning to do that. So I just did my work. And then eventually I figured, okay, my nephews in Germany wanted to know more about it because their mothers were younger than I and didn't remember a thing. So, you have to understand my whole family is in Germany. I'm the only adventurer. I'm the only one here. So I shared my story, and they all got a book.
Yes, and the book is Where is Home? And I understand you're working on a sequel to that. Can you tell us a little bit about the new book you're working on?
Yeah, then the next book should be coming out early 2017. It's titled America the Beautiful, Seen Through the Eyes of an Immigrant. And it dates back to 1966, how I saw and experienced America. And again, I got such nice reviews that people wanted to know more because they've forgotten what New York and what America was like. And I document all this, and there's nice feedback too. So it should be interesting.
Well, looking forward to that coming out, and we will have Anneros back in the program to talk about the new book. The current book that's out there is an excellent read. Again, a book of courage, of hope, of survival. Where is Home is the name. It's available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all across the country. Information you can lay on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, or Anneros' website, which is Anneros, ANNEROSV, as in Victor.com, and get information there as well. Anneros, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you so much for sharing that with us on the show today, and we look forward to having you back on the show.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate it, having been invited to talk.
And looking forward to talking about the new book as well. Once again, the name of the book is Where is Home? All the information is available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Stay tuned. We're coming right back after these messages.